SN95 Mustang GT. This is the same one that has basically the Crown Vic motor in it. It's a 2-valve, 4.6 liter V8. And typically this makes around 215 horsepower to the crank and 285 foot-pounds of torque. So this is definitely the older days of Ford. Much like the 2-valve I drove before, that was an 04, but it had a Vortec blower on it. Take that car, age it a little bit, change the body a little bit, and the motor is pretty close to the same. The heads are a little bit different, but it's like very minuscule things. The interior from 1994 all the way to 2004 was pretty much the same. Inside, when I got in it, I had nostalgia because I had a 2002 Mustang as my first car, but all the knobs, all the switches, the gauges, the steering wheel, the door panels, everything's the same. The only major difference is what the body looks like. Now, when this body style came out, it was kind of controversial because first Ford did a crazy maneuver by creating the Fox body, which a lot of people are like, what did you do? Like, why did you make the Mustang look like that? But then after that, people grew on it, and then they liked the Fox body. So when people got used to the Fox body, then they made the SN95, and people were like, what the heck is that thing? Is it Japanese? It has curved body lines. What's going on? But it had very much of a cult following right when it came out. So the SN95 is one of the most beloved Mustangs by certain crowds in the Mustang world. Now, has it aged well? Well, there's debatable. When it comes to looks, some people can't stand them. But I'm kind of impartial. I'm on the fence about it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And I think a part of it is because I had an 02, and I guess I'm a little bit more biased to that. But that's just me. But when it comes to a few things, like little maintenance things, you do have to keep up with it. One other thing I'd like to say before he owned this car was there was 8 owners of this car. 8, not 2 or 3, not 4, 8. Ben's strategy for buying this car was like the Craigslist special. He typed in manual transmission because he wanted to learn how to drive stick and have a stick car. So this is one of the first things that came up, and he was like, okay. The brakes in this don't have ABS, but it used to have ABS, but a previous owner took out the lines for some reason because race car, and now the brakes don't stop as well as they did. Other than that, you're doing pretty good. It's still in the stock suspension. It has pretty good American muscle wheels. These are very popular wheels on almost any Mustang generation. And at the same time, you sit kind of high as a result of the stock suspension. Now, this does have 1998 seats in it as well, and what's funny is that when Ben, the owner of this car, replaced the seats, there's 2 seatbelt things on the passenger side, because the 98, it had the socket for the seatbelt attached, but the 96 didn't. So you have 2 seatbelt sockets. So the first time I got in it, I was like, what am I doing wrong? I don't understand. All in all, it's a 5-speed transmission. The reverse is a little bit tricky because you want to go into 5th first, then go into reverse and it'll pop in. Since it is the older days of Ford, you do have a lot of the little nitpicky crap, if that makes sense. So the oil pressure gauge occasionally doesn't work. The car doesn't really overheat that often, but you do have to replace a few parts sometimes for that. But right now, it's 95 degrees outside. I am burning up, but the AC is working, and I'm okay. Only thing is the steering feel, there's not a lot of it. You go like this, and it just kind of does what it wants. Once again, this is a car, back when this came out, it was much more of that, I didn't buy the Mustang to be a stupid fast car. It was that era where Ford was kind of tinkering around and trying to figure out what kind of company they were. And they came up with this, which is more of a cruiser car. This is back when, you know, the LS motor in the Chevy world was being developed. So in comparison, when you got this, you can see how a lot of people thought it was kind of a dud in comparison. The clutch though, hydraulic clutch. So, and Ben learned how to drive stick in this car, and the first thing I thought of when I first got in it was, holy crap, this clutch is tougher than the Terminator I reviewed, and the Terminator's clutch was unreal. They both catch at the very, very top, and the threshold is hit or miss. There's no gray area. Sounds good. It has Flowmaster 40s on the back, and it has a off-road X-pipe, but it has mini cats strapped on. The clutch in this is a spec stage 3 clutch, so that also is a reason why it's a little bit tougher. But another thing is the gear ratio in this thing is so ridiculously long. They're 273s. 273s, that is going on forever. So when you go into gear, it just goes on and on and on. But when you're at slower speeds, you have to be kind of on your game because you got to keep the revs kind of up or it'll start bogging. And go. All right. That is ridiculous. We're good. Ooh. Alrighty then. So, I started that in 40, and I'm not gonna tell you what I ended in, but that was forever. Like, it just kept going. I was like, am I ever gonna have to shift ever? And this is coming from somebody who thinks, like, 331s is a long gear. I will say though that when I was getting up to speed, my confidence in this car was not that great. When I was approaching a bend, I was like, is it gonna do it? It was gonna do it. I took a leap of faith and it was fine. But, you know, it has that kind of, due to the stock suspension, it has that very floaty kind of feeling. So you're just like, oh man. Not too crazy, not enough horsepower to really hurt yourself. Alright, and all vitals are normal. The only bad thing is, when the motor gets hot, there's only one way to fix it, really. And that is to put the defroster on heat on a 95-degree day. Ben got this car for guess how much money? Just take a guess. I'll give you a second. You're wrong. He got this car for $500. He got a Mustang for $500. Now, regardless if you like Mustangs or not, you know, a car that's a lot of people's dream cars sometimes. That's ridiculous. $500. And yeah, it had problems here and there, but now it's running like a champ. He put about $2 grand in it. And so, all in all, 2,500 bucks. Not bad. He actually had a Grand Marquis as his first car, and going from the Grand Marquis to this actually kind of worked out because they share a lot of similarities. So, funny story. This is also the era where the hood vents don't work, so that makes me kind of sad. Or actually, it makes me really sad. I can't believe that Ford took till 2013 to put functional hood vents in a Mustang. Other parts of the interior, one of the air vents doesn't adjust anymore, and the tape deck doesn't work. It's because of the plastics, honestly. The plastics in the car, they just, overall the interior doesn't have as many creaks and rattles as I thought, but the door hinge is a little loud when you open and close the door, if that really bugs you. And one of the seat adjustment fell off, if you can hear that. The newer generations of the Mustang have definitely improved on that factor. And it does show how much the company has transformed in these years. So, on one hand, pretty cool that I got to drive this piece of heritage. The other hand is, good job, Ford. You're getting your stuff together. So, with that, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this quick little review video. I want to thank Ben so much for driving an hour and a half to come let me drive his car some more. And I will see you guys next time, and take it easy. Have a fantastic day. SN95.